Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Carol.
Hello, John. Hi, all right.
Yeah, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not brilliant. Are you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, right. Well, I've just left the hospital now. I'm with Duncan in the car.
Hello, mate.
Hi, Duncan.
Hi, John.
We've had quite a few tough sessions with Mum, and I don't even know where to start, John.
Carol should have said, "I don't even know where to start to try to deceive you, John." Question: why are Carol and Duncan having tough sessions with my mother and then reporting the results of those so-called tough sessions to me?
Mum's fine. She's fine in herself. She's doing okay. The therapists have been to see her over the last couple of days, and Mum has agreed with them that she will go back and view the bungalow with them tomorrow. They've also identified several nursing homes with ground floor vacancies which she wants to go and view, and she's made it quite clear that that's what she wants to be doing as an interim.
Carol doesn't outline any tough sessions with Mum. Carol just informs me what the therapist and Mum have allegedly agreed.
I've spoken to them and to Mum at length, both days now, about our discussion.
Carol now changes the dynamic and tells me that it is not just Mum and the therapist chatting, but she has also been speaking to the therapist and Mum at length over days. However, never does Carol accept my invitation of visiting the hospital and speaking to Mum and the therapist together. Everything Carol does is without my knowledge.
And how we felt about the possibility of her coming to live with you on a permanent basis so that she wouldn't have to go anywhere else. And she is saying quite clearly to them that it isn't what she wants to do.
Note how Carol manipulates the conversation by removing herself from the conversation and saying what Mum is saying to them. This is called a third-part reference and cannot be challenged in the conversation as the third party are not involved in the conversation. This conversation is about power and control and has little or nothing to do with the wishes of my mother, who has just had a stroke and for the first time in her life needs the support of her two remaining children.
Well, I don't accept that. I need to hear that for myself.
No, that's fine, and I understand that. I've told her of the plans and what you will be willing to do, and she understood that, but she said quite clearly again that it still isn't what she wanted to do, that she wants to return to the bungalow. I explained that that would be unlikely in the long term, and that the short-term step that she needed to take would be, to assess the situation and to give them time to look at the bungalow. And that long-term she could stay with you and that you could make these changes.
Totally disappointed and disgusted with you, Carol. You know full well that once in a home, that is where Mum would stay. Mum had told you for years, whatever you do, don't let them put me in a home. Don't let them put me in a home, Carol. Don't let them put me in a home, Carol.
She knocked me back about the mobility scooter, as you rightly said she would. She said she didn't want that anyway, so that was fine. That was out of the equation anyway, but that was okay. But she's saying she can manage it for holidays and that she wants that to continue, but she couldn't live in Southampton.
Lies, lies, lies and manipulation. Mum has told you for the last 10 years she wanted to move to Southampton.
And she didn't want to uproot, she wanted to stay in Devon.
More lies and manipulation. Mum didn't want to uproot from the bungalow. She would never have said Devon. She would have said bungalow. Never Devon. That's Duncan that says Devon.
That's not the case. She's been saying for years that she wished she'd have come up here, years ago. But anyway, if that's what she says, that's what she says, and that's fine with me. But I just need to hear that for myself.
Oh no, I understand, and I wish we'd have gone for it years ago when she did look at the brochures, because that would have been the right time to do it. I wish we'd have done it then, John, and then we wouldn't have any of this now.
Carol, it was not your decision years ago. It was Mum's decision. The only reason Mum didn't move to be near me was because she could not come to terms with the upheaval of moving from the bungalow she loved. However, Carol, you freely admit that Mum told you she wanted to move to Southampton and even showed you the brochures.
Oh, we should have just gone for it when she started to make sounds about it then. I wish we'd have done it then. That would have been the right time to do it, wouldn't it?
No, Carol, it wouldn't have been the right time to do it. Firstly, Mum was not your puppet, whom you made decisions for. And secondly, whilst wanting to move, Mum couldn't bear the upheaval of moving from the bungalow. But you knew Mum's wishes perfectly well. Mum's wishes were she wanted to be in Southampton, near me and my children, and closer to you and your children. That is what Mum wanted, Carol, to be closer to you, me, and our children.
The thing is, what the girl says, Tracy, she says once she goes in one of the homes, that'll be finished.
Well, this is where, I'm going to have to disagree, John, because, I don't know who this person is, but...
Duncan, who lives 5 minutes from his grandma, and according to grandma only visits her 3 or 4 times a year, is looking for somewhere he can inject himself into the conversation, because he is so full of wisdom he needs to be heard. Mum for years has referred to Duncan as the Lord. At the same time, Duncan is offering his wisdom concerning his grandma. Mum was saying from her hospital bed, I wish the Lord would mind his own business.
Well, this is where, I'm going to have to disagree, John, because, I don't know who this person is, but...
Duncan,
these residents...
Duncan, just end it there, mate. Don't agree, don't disagree, just let's not be having this conversation.
Do you think that's what Linda would want for you to...
Realising I had been set up by Carol, I ended the phone call. Linda is Duncan's mother, my sister and Carol's half-sister. Linda sadly died around 30 years ago when Duncan was a small child, but apparently Linda now has Duncan as a spokesperson on Earth to express her wishes. If Linda were alive, she would have undoubtedly told Duncan to mind his own business. If Linda were alive today, there is no way that Carol would have got away with this disgusting show of behaviour against her mother's expressed wishes, and Duncan would have been made to mind his own business instead of being empowered by Carol to have control over my mother's life. After Nick, Duncan's brother, left Devon, Duncan said to me, quote, After Grandma has gone, I will be left in Devon on my own. The truth is that Mum loved Nick, but she didn't like to look at him for too long because it reminded her so much of Linda. Mum never really liked John Reed because he was so full of himself and self-opinionated, and Mum never fully warmed to Duncan as he is just like John Reed, bossy and full of his own self-importance. Duncan once told me that he never wanted to be like his dad, but the fact of the matter is Duncan is more like his dad than his dad ever was. From her hospital bed, Mum would angrily say to me, I wish the Lord would mind his own business. The problem with my mum was she never spoke her mind because she never wanted to upset anyone, which is why she let people push her around and wouldn't say anything. The only person in the world she ever stood up against was me, because I was the only person in the world, other than her father, that she had an emotional relationship with.